Speaking on separate stages, two senior members of the Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna commented on public protest against politicians.
MPs cannot go to villages. MPs today are rogues. They thieve, steal cattle and skip off sand mining contracts and various other things. To save their face and cover the shame, he convened a media briefing and said that this was done by certain saboteurs and that not everyone was involved. That is not the true story. The people have come to this level now. A Colombo district MP was recently hooted at. Politicians must look for another occupation if they cannot face the protest of the people who voted for them. If they are engaging in politics, you should be able to listen to the criticisms leveled by the people. You must be able to bear it. Since a parliamentarian was assaulted in Ampara, there have been various tense situations that have arisen, most recently in Wagama and in Moratua yesterday. At the fore of all this is that when the government is trying to use this election to cover the people's problems and is changing its journey of lying to the people or fabricating dreams and placing the people under pressure, the people are rallying against it. It is at a time like this that the elections have come. Thereby, considering the political situation in the country, we will rally the people against this program being carried out by the government and work to establish a provincial council through this election.
Leader of the Democratic Party, South Fonseca, charges that the government has become bankrupt to the extent that it has fallen to a level where it cannot nominate a candidate for the position of Chief Minister of the Northwestern Province. Fonseca made this remark at a public rally held in Anuradhapura this afternoon.
The public rally was held in the Yayahaya area near the Vilachia Manor Junction in Anuradhapura. When we hear of politicians at the Pradesh Sabha level in the southern province and around Colombo who are close to the leader, it is similar to hearing about the underworld. Pradesh Sabha chairmen are being sentenced to death. They commit murder and rape. A provincial councillor recently made a woman kneel, a teacher. Usually a man who has a mother or a wife will never do something like that. A man would not do something like that. People with a mentality who cannot be called men are engaging in politics with the government today. Thereby we think that this system should be changed. If we let them remain at large, then we cannot prevent politicians from destroying this country. The government is struggling now, unable to choose a chief ministerial candidate for the Northwestern Province. I think they hired a chief ministerial candidate for a fee. They got an opposition MP to put forward as the chief ministerial candidate for the Northwestern Province. This shows how bankrupt the government has become.
The People's Welfare Front, or Janaseta Peramuna, handed in its nominations today for the Jaffna and Mullaitivu districts for the upcoming Northern Provincial Council elections. The Election Secretariat said that in addition, bonds were deposited today by 4 independent groups contesting in the Kandy, Nuwara, Vavuniya and Puttalam districts.
Leader of the Janaseta Peramuna, Venerable Battaramulle Seelaratnathera, submitted the party's nominations for the Jaffna district. There was never any anger between us Sinhalese and Tamil people, but certain politicians work to make these innocent Tamil people and us clash. Thereby I request that we must take care to not allow things like this to occur again. 2 registered political parties submitted their nominations yesterday for the Northern, Central and Northwestern Provincial Council elections. 12 independent groups have thus far deposited their bonds to contest elections from the Kandy, Nuwara, Jaffna, Vavuniya, Kurunagal and Puttalam districts. The deadline for the submission of nominations is 2 p.m. on the 1st of August. The deadline for depositing bonds is the 31st of July.
Meanwhile, the accepting of applications to vote of internally displaced persons for the upcoming Provincial Council polls has commenced. Additional Elections Commissioner R.M.A.L. Ratnayaka said that applications can be submitted until the 12th of August. Ratnayaka added that applications must be submitted to the relevant elections office.
Former parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara, speaking at a public meeting in Hettipola early this morning, said that he did not choose the easy road.
I
wanted Ranil Wickramasinghe to have all those votes. What belongs to Caesar should be with Caesar. If not Caesar, he can be Brutus. I kept it with him. After leaving Parliament, I wanted to become the Chief Minister of this area after being elected to the Provincial Council by the people's mandate.
බලය උරංගා බලලා ජනතාවගේ මතයත් එක්ක මේ පළාතේ මහමැති වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා මට උවමනාවක් තිබුණා. අපේ සමහර කට්ටිය කිව්වා සර් හරියට ගන්නවා නම් මේකම අරගෙනම එන්න නැත්තම් ටිකක් ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙයිද දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
Some told me to take it. If not, there will be problems. I told them, remember, I have faith that the President will believe in what was discussed between myself and him. So I have no fear. Dasir Jasekar is a leader who does not bluff. Mahinda Rajapaksa is also a leader who does not bluff. He does what he says. I believe in him. Now they are saying that Dasir Jasekar crossed over after taking 250 million rupees. That is something that they came up with when UNP MPs crossed over. Dasir Jasekar is not a person who bows down for money. So I would like to tell this to MP Harin Fernando, who made that unwanted statement. I am sad that he put himself into the third level in politics. A loan shark's son may know the value of money, but I don't. If he speaks more, I will have to speak of the history. Therefore, I will not speak any further. These are the consequences one has to face when undertaking the leader's contracts. If they are still trying to undertake contracts to protect the leader without understanding this, they too will fall into the same pit their leader is in.
ඒගොල්ලොත් වැටෙන්නේ නායකයා වටන කුණු කොටනම කියලා මම තමුන්නාසයට කියන්න කැමතියි.
Before moving on to more news, let's take a quick look at the newspaper cartoon of the day.
Sanjeeva Bandar, the convener of the Inter-University Students' Federation, was granted bail by the Nugegoda Magistrates Court today.
IUSF convener Sanjeeva Bandara was granted bail by Nugegoda Chief Magistrate Ajit Masingha. The Chief Magistrate ordered that Bandara be released on surety of 50,000 rupees. Sanjeeva Bandara was imprisoned for organizing a demonstration in Nugegoda recently and disturbing the peace.
නීතිය සහ නීතියේ ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය පිළිබඳවත් වගේම පොලිසියේ ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය පිළිබඳවත්
We are thankful to the government for giving us a practical experience on the law in this country, the enforcing of the law and the functions of the police. Because we know that today the law is not being enforced on behalf of the people. The government of this country can hold demonstrations, they can hold protests and close roads. At the same time, the government has the right to have the police be silent during their demonstrations, but to act against anti-government protests. This is the truth. Today the law is only being enforced against peaceful anti-government protests.
ආණ්ඩු විරෝධී උද්ඝෝෂණ ව්‍යාපාර පවත්වද්දී ඒට ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. මේක තමයි ඇත්ත. එතකොට අද නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ ආණ්ඩු විරෝධී සාමකාමී උද්ඝෝෂණවලට විතරයි.
The launch of the Enabling Sri Lanka Tourism 2.0 program was held in Colombo last evening. Now, the program is jointly organized by the American Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the Sri Lanka Association for Software Services Companies. The new program is aimed at enabling the Sri Lankan tourism industry to become the destination of choice. The program that was launched yesterday includes a competition to select winning digital solutions for the Sri Lanka tourism industry. Speaking at the event, the Vice President of AmCham, Prasad Nanayakkara, said that the business benefits of the program are expected to revolutionize the tourism industry in Sri Lanka.
That are available in Sri Lanka. We know that we have a lot of new hotels are coming up.
We look at today and what is showcased on the 12th is
Your final.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that officials should cease working for their own loyalties and attempting to place the burden of delays on the President. The President made this statement at the progress review meeting of the implementation of the 2013-2015 mid-term investment plan of the Ministry of Water Supply and Drainage.
The event was held under the patronage of President Mahinda Rajapaksa in the auditorium of the Ministry of Water Supply and Drainage and was also attended by a number of ministers and officials, including the subject Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. The president said that he was informed that development projects were being delayed due to various different procedures being implemented. President Rajapaksa affirmed that a program to eradicate such obstacles should be introduced, further pointed out that the public are levelling allegations at the government because of the unnecessary delays in these projects.
On to our headline business story tonight. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to cap penal interest rates of banks, finance companies and leasing companies. The CBSL has requested banks to reduce the penal rates of interest charged on all loans and advances, including credit facilities already granted, to a level not exceeding 2% per annum. A central bank survey has revealed that the current penal interest rates charged by banks are in the range of 2% to 20% per annum on the amount in arrears and sometimes the total amount outstanding over and above the original interest rates charged on the loan. The CBSL notes that in terms of leasing facilities, penal rates charged by banks, finance companies and leasing companies are in the range of 36% to 48% per annum on overdue payments. The CBSL says that such excessive interest rates are not consistent with the present low interest regime prevailing in the country and the low interest rates prevailing in other peer emerging economies. The CBSL adds that the inability of borrowers to service their loans in the light of such high interest rates also has an adverse impact on the financial position of banks, finance companies and leasing companies, as well as financial system stability. The CBSL has requested banks to reduce penal interest rates to a level not exceeding 2% per annum, whilst the finance companies and leasing companies have been requested to reduce the penal rate of interest to 3% per annum with effect from the 1st of August.